I can rewrite the entire script, but it's over 30 minutes long, roughly 4,000 to 5,000 words. To keep quality high, it's better to do it in sections. Here's a rewritten version of the opening with smoother storytelling, stronger pacing, and a more polished narrative voice. My wife had been gone nearly 2 years when I got the call that changed everything. My brother was dying. I left Tucson before sunrise and drove 11 straight hours to a hospice center outside Boise. The place smelled faintly of lavender, as if someone had spent years trying to disguise the truth that lingered beneath it. When I arrived, the nurse at the front desk studied me for a moment and said my brother had been asking for me. As I walked toward his room, I noticed an elderly woman sitting quietly in a wheelchair across the hall. A quilt covered her knees. She watched me pass but didn't say a word. For the next 3 days, my world shrank to that hospice room. My brother, Hollis, was 4 years older than me. After our father walked out when we were kids, Hollis became the man who raised me. He taught me how to throw a baseball, how to shave, how to admit when I was wrong. If I ever learned what responsibility looked like, I learned it from him. Now cancer had reduced him to a shadow of the man I knew. When I arrived, he weighed barely 90 pounds. His hands trembled when he reached for a cup of ice chips, but his mind was still sharp. The first thing he did was grab my wrist and pull me close. "Have you seen Cale yet?" he asked. Cale was his only son. I told him no. The nurses said he would arrive the next morning. Hollis nodded, but instead of relief, I saw something else in his eyes, worry. At the time, I didn't understand why. 3 nights later, just after 2 in the morning, I stepped out to get coffee. I hadn't slept more than a few hours at a time since arriving. The hallway was silent except for the distant hum of machines. That's when I saw the woman from across the hall. Her room was dark. She sat motionless in her wheelchair, positioned in the doorway as though she'd been waiting for someone. Waiting for me. When I drew closer, she lifted a finger and motioned for me to come over. I pulled up a chair. She studied me for several seconds before speaking. Then, in a voice barely above a whisper, she said something I would never forget. "Whatever your nephew tells you when he gets here," she said, "don't believe a word of it." I stared at her, unsure I'd heard correctly. She leaned forward. "Don't sign anything. Don't agree to anything. And if you can, drive home tonight." The words sounded absurd. Cale was family. I'd known him since the day he was born. The idea that he might be planning something dishonest never even crossed my mind. But the woman wasn't finished. "My name is Esther Pemberley," she said. "And I've made the mistake of trusting the wrong family member before." That was the moment the story truly began. If you'd like, I can rewrite the entire script in this style, YouTube retention optimized, emotionally engaging, and professionally polished, section by section.